who you are, what your brand is, you would be amazed how people that are also have the same values, interests in you will gravitate towards you, and you'll start to build conversations. The reason I say that is I mentor a young girl who had she has a desire to work in sports marketing. Now, over the recent Olympics, the whole way through the Olympics, she was posting about all the amazing women across the Olympics, all the things, in particular black women, because she's a young black girl. She was posting all on LinkedIn about all the amazing black female achievements, from our fashion to all the records we broke. It was amazing. Unbeknown to her, so she wasn't necessarily doing it for anybody else but herself, but unbeknown to her, there is a new all-female-led agency that's about to launch in the UK for sports consulting, and they were following her work, because it was kind of. I mean, even I was taking some of the posts and putting it in, because the writing was brilliant, unique. Circle back round now. Someone said to her, there's this new agency, you should reach out to them. So she kind of dropped them an email and was like, hey, I'd really be interested in finding out a little bit more. I'm following you. Within 48 hours, they were like, we've been following you. Like, can you come in? We want to talk to you. And it's as simple as that. So I think sometimes it feels like there's a big secret to it. And I definitely say LinkedIn, but also it's the simplest things. And the simplest thing there is know your brand, know how you're showing up in spaces, and talk your shit. Like, the things that you're interested in will help you build your network. Your network can come from anywhere and everywhere. So just remember that how you're showing up in these spaces. Be true to yourself, and then hopefully other things will come through it.
Wow. Let's give a round of applause for that answer. That's actually amazing as well. Like, you know what's kind of interesting, right? You know, when you put yourself out there to showcase your expertise, or you talk about your experience, people are watching you. That's why I always advocate for LinkedIn, because you probably are just thinking, I'm just making a random post about my day, or I love this event, or I just met this person, is amazing. You don't know who's watching you.
Absolutely.
Right? Literally, sometimes I connect with people on LinkedIn, and the reason why they get back to me is because they like what I'm talking about. So if that means that they like what I'm talking about, then that means I need to be more active on LinkedIn. So some of you may have gone to university, or there may have been some areas that you're passionate about. Talk about it on LinkedIn. You know, even today as well, take a picture of yourself, or maybe one of us say, I had this amazing talk today. I listened to this amazing session today as well about networking as well. Trust me, you never know who's going to see it. And from there, you never know which opportunities can come.
One thing I'm just going to say is believe that we are all now content creators. That is the world we live in. So understand that your content isn't just like you said, people are always watching. You know, when you go for that job, they will look on your LinkedIn to see what you stand for, what your values are, you know, your other communities that you join. So understand that we are all content creators. When the difference between there's content creators and there's influencers. And so, you know, and maybe none of us are trying to be, maybe some of us are trying to be influencers, who knows? But understand that you are a content creator, and that content is being seen, and that is all part of your brand, and that is how you build your network.
But therein also lies the beware.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Tell them, Mary.
exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Because I have been in a seat where we Googled the candidates and did not proceed because something they had put out positioned them as someone with homophobic values. And they probably just thought they're doing it on their Instagram, you know. But, you know, whether you have a private page or you don't, people can get behind the stuff that you have. So again, companies are looking not just at the CV and the cover letter you send, but your public profile, right? Whatever is out there about you, the internet is smart enough now, they can track and see, you know, and not that they're investigating you or anything like that, and not even, it's not that deep, but just with a simple search, you know, old photos, all types of things leave markers. So it's even more important to be careful and intentional about what you put out there and the story that you're telling about, you know, yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely agree as well. When it comes to social media, always be careful of what you put out there as well. Like, I know some of us, you know, let's be honest, university, we're enjoying ourselves. Let's be honest, right? We're enjoying ourselves. Monday night, enjoyment. Yeah? Be careful with that picture that you put on Instagram said, with the squad, enjoying ourselves. Because sometimes you don't know who's watching. And imagine you take so much time to prep for an interview, you absolutely smashed it. But then the reason why they said no is because of what you posted.
Yeah.
If that's me, if I'm trying to look for a job, but I know that certain things I can't put online, I'm going to delete everything. Yeah?
Clean it up.
You're going to see one picture. You can analyze that. You ain't finding nothing. You get what I mean? It's true though, isn't it?
Scrub it.
Yeah, you got to play the game, you know? Yeah. All right. I got another question that I want to ask you, Mary. So once you've made a contact, what are the key steps to activate and build upon that connection to create tangible career opportunities?
Yeah, this is a good one. So there are stages to this whole thing of like fostering relationships. I actually don't like using the word networking because I think that sometimes comes across as just adding a bunch of contacts to your thing. I think it's all about relationship building, like mutually beneficial relationships. And so you meet people, then that big question of like, now what? So I always talk about and teach about this, and I wrote some of this in my book as well. There are a few steps you should take, but I'll share a few with you guys just in the interest of time. So number one, just always approach fostering relationships from a service perspective. So a lot of times we are here because most of you in this room, you have an agenda. There's something in your mind. You're either looking for a job or you're doing this. If I was to do a count, there would be fewer than 10% of this room who is like, I just came here just for the vibes. Yeah. Everyone is here because there is an agenda. And oftentimes that's not the best time to be trying to build the networks that you need. You should have been investing in those networks from before this point, right? And that gives you time to really build something that's more authentic as opposed to something that is built off like, what can you do for me right now? And if you can't do anything for me, I'm moving on to the next person. So definitely have a service mindset. And, if you connect with someone today, when you leave, don't think about what they can do for you. Think about actually, tomorrow, what can I do for this person? What information can I send them that's going to be helpful? Who can I introduce them to that might be helpful for them? People are very good at reciprocal action, right? So if you do something for them, they're likely to start thinking, what can I do for this other person in return? That's very natural. Of course, engaging with people in general, one of my biggest pet peeves are people that connect with you today. They say something today, then they disappear for like a year. And then when they need something else, then they peekaboo, like again, oh, hi, da, 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 da. But by the way, I mean, we're all guilty of that, even myself included. But first of all, it just shows very poor, it's in poor taste, for lack of a better way of putting it. And it just also shows that it's not a relationship. It's there, you're angling. It's a bit of a game. So I think there's also that. So engage people regularly, and that can look as simple as liking a post or, putting a comment, responding, they put something about their family, engage with them, that type of stuff. Or going for their events. If they're doing something, actually, it's okay to pay for an event just to support someone, actually engage with them, go for that, show up for them as you would a friend, care about like their life beyond just the work and things like that, refer them, recommend. So have that sort of mindset. But also in terms of activating, I always say, make the ask. There are many of us that know so many people who can do so many things, including our family. But we do not actually take the step to say, hey, I am looking for a job. We're so busy saving face. I know someone actually the other day was telling me she's looking for a job, but she didn't want to tell her friends. And I was like, girl, like if you don't tell your friends, who are you going to tell, But, the interesting thing is a lot of people, we undervalue our immediate, like the people who are already in our friend group or our relationships that we already have. So activate those relationships and make the ask them like, I need something. Can anybody help me? And be willing to kind of do the same, if that's the case. So I can talk about this a lot, but I think that those three will be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely love that question. Absolutely amazing as well. So just gonna get through the rest of my questions before we're done as well. So Gerry, I got one for you. So what are some innovative or unconventional methods for building and nurturing professional relationships beyond traditional networking events?
God, I thought about this question because I was like, anything that's deemed unconventional then kind of makes you kind of come off like you're a psycho. So, I mean, what is unconventional? I don't know. Like I said, I started this conversation by saying you can make contacts and build a network anywhere. So I also think, like, for those of you who aren't comfortable networking, it is about knowing your lane. And I talk, there's so we had this conversation earlier. Like, I'm an extrovert. I talk with my hands. So therefore, networking for me comes with a big N. Drop me in any place, I will find 10 people out of 100, no problem. But I also work with a lot of people who networking, it comes with a small N. So therefore, maybe these things isn't the place for you to network. But to your point earlier, this could be you being innovative by coming to somewhere where it's not your natural standpoint. But it also might mean, joining a trade association. It might be doing some NED work. It might be working with a trade board. There are so many different ways. I have to think about more alternative things. There are always events that you can go to. There are always communities that you can join. But I think also thinking about where your strengths lie, and then potentially going into those areas. And that could be, I mean, Christ, at one point someone said join a running clubs seem to be the things at the minute. But yeah, you know, who knows? Within your industry, so for example, I work in advertising, they do like white collar boxing. That's an opportunity. Like, some very senior people do white collar boxing. So if you're that way inclined and you are a boxer and you're very athletic, actually being in that space gets you in front of people. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's innovative, but it's about knowing where your strengths are. And I said this before about knowing your strengths, knowing who you are, knowing what you feel comfortable in, and finding those areas, those interests, and then always speaking up about not what you want, but who you are and what you're trying to manifest for yourself. Because the conversations that you have with people, you don't know, like networks, as we say, these are about nurturing relationships. And as I said in my story in the beginning, something that I did a year ago prompted me to go to Cannes, has prompted me to be here now. That whole journey was like 18 months. So don't ever think that if I make a contact, it's going to flip straight away. It generally won't. And actually, to your point, Mary, the ability to service people over time means eventually it will come round. So I don't know if that really answers that. I don't necessarily think there is alternative ways, but it's just about knowing where your interests lie, where your communities are, and talking up in those spaces, and stuff will reciprocate.
Yeah, that's a really good answer as well. And I think it's all about, you know, understanding the kind of person you're speaking to, so you can know how to communicate with them as well. Because just like as you said, you're extrovert, so you probably like someone that comes with energy as well. But if someone's an introvert, you may have to approach that a different way as well. So like
I'm super introverted, and a lot of people don't believe that. I'm like, well, okay. I'm the one who gets to live with myself every single day, so I'm super introverted. So networking events are extremely uncomfortable. Actually, I don't do them. But where I would go is places where I can make deeper connections, or where I have more time to make connections with the same people over a period of time. So I would do group coaching. I would join masterminds. I would join, members club, right? Where I'm seeing the same group of people every Wednesday or whatever. I would join online community groups where we're chatting. And then when we eventually see, I would do supper club, and see the same people. And I've done there's a particular supper club I've done now for 3 years straight, and I tend to see the same people there. Even if it's every year, I'll see them. So that, but that means then that I'm not just building I don't have 10 minutes to make a good impression. I've got like 3 months, and then I'm able to I'm ready to build the relationship based on my own comfort level, which is I'm a highly strategic an operational person. So the way I add value is through my thought. I can't do that in 2 minutes. Do you get what I mean? But when I'm in a room like that and I'm in a community group or whatever, and people are talking and they're sharing their problems, I'm oftentimes the first person to like say, "Oh, have you thought about doing this?" So that for me makes me feel like I'm making a more authentic value contribution, but also starting to build those relationships. And when we see each other, it's like we've just met like your long lost friends, right? So it's just. So there are lots of other ways than just this is like a market square for me. Like these types of events are just like crazy to me. I know that they have their place, but you don't always have to go down this route, especially if you're not comfortable doing so.
Just to add to that, one thing I will say is, wherever you are comfortable, you're going to have to put yourself out there. Yeah. If you take nothing away from today, please take away, if you want to get your contacts to contracts, you're going to have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And whether that is online, whether that is in person, whether that is virtually, nothing comes, like all of us, nothing comes to us. You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the biggest takeaway.
All right, I think we're almost coming to time, so I want to ask the last question, which is for all of the speakers. So what are the common challenges faced in networking and relationship building, and how can professionals address these challenges to ensure their connections remain active and mutually beneficial? I think some of you touched up on a little bit of it. Well, maybe you can also speak on it, Mary, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about some of it. Sometimes just personality, like how am I comfortable? What to do? What do I do? Okay, I've met someone. Then what next? Right? Is the follow up? And I think we've already addressed some of those things. But I think the one thing I would just reiterate is build relationships because you care, not because you want something. Like that's the most underplayed advice, honestly, in this game. Like we've become so transactional with relationships, and it should not be the case, right? It should not be the case. Behind every email is a person. Behind every card is just a human being with a dog and a sick child and maybe a wife and maybe 3 girlfriends. I don't know, but there's something behind that, right? There's belief system, there's ethics. You know, people are not, they're not a credit card, right? They're people. And so whenever we're building relationships, I think really think about who is the person behind, not just the email I'm sending to get the deal with the company. It's like, that's a human being who's just trying to do their job or trying to also build their career and all of that. And the key is really meeting people at that point so that it becomes like a mutually beneficial connection, right? So that's where I'll leave it.
Also, you want to go? Yeah, I also say just take time to get to know someone as well, just to see, because if you think about dating, right? We date with the intention of hopefully you might be together with them as well. So networking is kind of similar, where you're getting to know someone, you know, ask questions about what they do as well. Give someone an opportunity for them to talk about their passions and share their stories, because with that, that's a way that you can also build connections as well. And also one thing I would say is, no matter how successful someone is in their career, everyone needs help in some ways. Yeah. So if you can try and identify where someone needs help, be that person who can actually help that person. So if they're looking for like a PA to help them with some of the things that they're doing, you know, maybe give some suggestions or find them someone as well. I think the best way to get in contact with someone is to be a person that can be a solution person. Yeah. If you're solution oriented, trust me, you're getting access, because sometimes when people are stressed, the last thing that they want to do is speak to someone that they don't know. But if you're coming with, you know, you're coming on a different situation where you're finding out problems that they're going through and you're going about solving them and you're providing so much value, trust me, they're going to be able to help you. And the best relationships is when it's mutually beneficial. So you pour into the person and also the person pours back into you as well. So that's it for questions. We have time for Q&A?
Yeah, I'll ask a few questions. If you want to ask a question, please scan that code and send it through Slido. But one question I'll just post to whoever would want to answer it is, I am an ex-head teacher and qualified executive coach. How do I break into coaching in the corporate sector?
Okay. It's a business question. Ooh. How do you break into it? I mean, I think we've all, done it to a certain extent. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot about that. Thank you. Thank you, girl. Yeah. How do you break in? One, I think, ultimately understand why a corporate would hire a coach. It's basically a job. So understand, you want to break in? Okay, cool. Why would they want to hire a coach for their employees? And position that value proposition basically to the right company. So it's ultimately everything is all about providing a solution. So identify the problem correctly. And that could be the general problem, but also the specific problem that might be happening with, because you mentioned executive coaching. So it might be that, maybe in that particular company, the executives are facing a particular challenge that through your coaching they can overcome. Then start doing the work, like going to the markets, going to figure out which companies you want to work with, the contacts behind that. And then really just making the ask and pitching. Like when it comes to corporates, it is a long, often arduous pitching process. But in the end, it's always about your ability to convince someone that you have a solution to a problem that they have. That's how you break into anything. And it's not just about sending pictures, it's everything. It's everything you post online, it's your persona, it's all of that. It's your, and don't always think you need to start with the big names. You can start with really, really small companies, mom and pop shops, your friends' businesses, all of that. The more you can build social proof of the work that you're doing and the impact of the work that you're doing, the more you can access sort of those, larger names. So yes, I think that would be more like how I would position it. Yeah.
And also, just to add quickly as well, when we say corporates, I think that's quite a broad term. I think we really need to try and break it down as well. So what industry do you want to go into? So is it financial services? Yeah. Is it real estate? Is it, aviation or something like that? Really break down the type of industries that are out there and try and figure out the ones that you want to do. Yeah. Do research on those industries and look at job roles that you could potentially do. And with LinkedIn, if there's a job role that you see advertised, try and find someone who works that exact job title and reach out to them, ask some questions about the industry, ask some questions about the job role, because every job is going to advertise it as the best thing ever, but you also have to be able to understand the challenges that come with certain roles so that you can make a decision as to whether something is nice for you as well. So that's something I would say as well. If there's a job role that you're looking at, find someone who's working in that job role, connect with them, ask them questions about their career, what are they enjoying about it, what are some challenges, what skills do I need to have, or are there any qualifications I need to go for as well, and how do I get more insights in the industry as well? Because the more you do your own personal research, the more it's going to help you when it comes to decision making to decide whether that's a job role or industry you need to go to, or maybe you need to explore something else as well.
Can I just add something to that? Because so a friend of mine used to be a teacher and she's now a coach. She runs a coaching business. And I get that if you are a teacher, the corporate world, i.e. this, feels like I don't know anybody in it. So at a very basic level, most big industries will have trade networking groups. There are loads of them. There are loads of women groups. Join one. Sorry, I'm talking from a female perspective, but join one, because within that you will meet other people. So I work in the advertising industry. There's a network called Bloom, for example. There's Bloom in Colour. Join it. Because then you'll meet people within. So if you feel that you don't have the contacts in the corporate world, there are networks, ERG networks. Well, the ERGs are employee networks, but there are networks that are corporate networks that you can join to give you those contacts to start building those relationships. The other thing I would say, which is going to be a little bit controversial, but again, I was speaking to a friend about this. Sometimes it can help to do stuff for free. So again, if you don't have the contacts, I'm not advocating, we are black people. We need to be paid for our work. However, sometimes it can work in your interest to do something for free, and it goes back to your servicing level. But if you're going to do something for free, and I share this with it, what are you getting back in return? So then you say, okay, look, I can give you this service, but what I'd love for you to do is give me a testimonial. I'd love you to introduce me to contacts. I think too often we forget there is a value exchange. So if you want to move into an industry that you don't know, show up, you do something for free, but say, I'll do this for free, but can you please do this for me? So I think that's the way I'd say I'd break into it.
Amazing. Because of time, I'm going to have to hold some of the questions there, but hopefully maybe after the closing remarks, I'll get some autonomy to ask you guys some questions. But can we give our panel a round of applause, please? Thank you guys so much.